And we are live in one of the rather generously large and incredibly luxurious bathhouses located within the palace. As Auric sits in one of the more public bars, just relaxing in the would it even be heated water? Would it just be cold water? These are, let's say it's heated actually. Let's say they got something of a spring going on, a hot spring, and Auric has called a more informal, relaxed meeting, perhaps because he is just in such a good mood, and his clan, of course, is sort of deserving of nothing but the finest luxuries. Yeah, it's heated with boilers, okay. With nothing but the finest luxuries, such as boilers, and what appears to be a very, very smooth, stony surface around this area. It's even decorated. There's some plant life and rocky outcropping around this bath as decoration to make it look more natural, to give an aesthetic. And Auric is just sitting there naked in the bathroom, awaiting the arrival of his clanmates.
Petruchio arrives, clocking, wearing a simple priestly robe. It's not adorned. Words are a thing. And as Ulrich plays helicopter, Petruchio
He's not actually doing
comes in. He's still leaning on the large staff that he carries with him.
He's
Apparently
by the
he
way.
seems to be lifting it with ease. Like it's just nothing to him.
He has a bathrobe, by the way, so you're not. He's not so shameless. Not quite so shameless, but close.
He will. He'll just kind of. Ulrich will probably hear the clacking of the the end of the quarterstaff on the stone, which makes a surprisingly consistent sound. He just seems to be walking at a decent pace. He just says, Ulrich, pleasure to see you. Congratulations are in order, I believe.
Indeed, I am Baron of this fine city now. Please enjoy yourself. As he just kind of gestures towards the water.
Shortly after the father arrives, you hear heavy footsteps of boots along the corridors of the bathhouse, and you see a large figure that you've never seen before carrying a heavy wooden chest. It's decorated and adorned. And behind this slave, you find Orsini in his usual garb, not donning the robe he bought from the monastery anymore. And he nods with his fakest smile to Father Petruchio. Father. And he nods to Ulrich.
Petruchio nods in recognition of Orsini. Mr. Orsini?
And he doesn't even ignore, he completely ignores the father's response and looks straight into Ulrich's eyes. I take it that you have Won the race, brother?
Oh, sorry, I didn't quite catch that. I take it you have...
Won the barony.
Ah, yes. Yes, all's gone well. I believe the Salubri turned out to be the swing vote. That turned things our way. 8 votes to 6. Only one person voted for Nosferatu. I believe it may have been himself, the poor soul. The Bourgeois seemed to have quite a coterie backing him. Though he was not present for the announcement, he had a representative, very pale woman. I believe it would be Cappadocian, I'm not entirely sure.
And as Ulrich finishes his answer, Orsini pulls out his sword, sticks it into the ground, goes down on one knee. And as he does that, the slave drops the heavy chest on the floor and makes himself scarce. And down on one knee, leaning on his sword, Orsini nods towards Ulrich with the never-seen-before smile of satisfaction on his face. My Baron, a gift for your recent success. And he stands back up and puts his sword back in its sheath.
I thank you, Orsini. This will not go unnoticed. In fact, I'll be announcing the declaration of my court and domain in the next few nights. There'll be a very large Elysia hosted, none other by my new keeper, Gerald of Tall's second of his name.
And as you say that, Orsini pushes the chest towards you and skillfully makes a key appear from under his sleeve and opens the lock, takes it off, and gestures towards you to open the chest.
He will do so.
And out of character, what's your academic score?
I believe it is 1.
Okay. What you find in that chest is a purple robe. As far as you know, purple cloth is expensive as fuck, and sometimes people lose life and limb for just a ribbon, and you just have a robe.
This is definitely a mark of nobility that Orsini is giving him, I take it.
You basically would wear the same garb that the Byzantine emperor wears, as in that stuff costs a shit ton of money and it's damn near impossible to find. As far as you know.
Ulrich looks on this. He's still wet, obviously. He's just come out of the bath, and he kneels down to examine this robe, and he definitely looks very, very, very impressed, very pleased as he has the chest open. Says, "Why, you have spared no expense. I thank you for this fine gift. I think I shall adorn it at the next Elysia. You have my gratitude." Tell me, Orsini, have you, and he closes the chest, locking it again. Of course, not wanting to get a single drop of water on this fine dress. He wants it to be immaculate, clearly. Have you considered who you're going to name as your harpies?
Well, judging the fact that I didn't actually uphold my end of the bargain, I was expecting that the title would go to someone else. But if you think that I am still the right man for the job, I'd be more than happy to take up the mantle, so to speak. As far as names go, I'd say picking one representative of every faith in the city should cause us no trouble, regardless of their clan, though I would avoid trying to concentrate too much influence in the hands of a single clan. As far as names go, I wouldn't drop any until I have my research, and like there was a race for the highest title in the city, I think there should be smaller races for the smaller titles. A harpy needs to be someone who is trustworthy, and I would rather not have to use our talents of the bloods to pull out the truth from beneath their fangs.
Footsteps, hurried footsteps, can be heard in the distance. And they slow down a bit, and you will see your clan sister appear, and she will just approach. Good evening.
What does she look like? Is she particularly
She looks
bloody?
a bit ruffled. Her hair is a mess, and you'll see that she is actually wounded. She has a. She's not particularly hiding it. Her clothes are, and she's been like it's a sword or a stab or something, and you'll see like it's torn, and you can see that she's been hit.
What on earth has happened to you, milady?
Please, my better, and she will come closer. Just, I mean, well, I would have changed if. She looks at the three guys in bathrobes, and she's.
Oh, no, there's only one guy in a bathrobe in this Ulrich.
Oh, the two others have robes on. She's wearing her normal clothes. I think I should change, to match the city. No. There is, I think, still going, but the city guard is on it. But I was outside the city, and a Celtic raid happened.
I see.
They tried to kidnap, well, women. No, they did not get to touch me. Well, a little. She looks down. It is not really a worry. And the only person who sensed that, well, saw what he was scared of, and she smiles. He is quite dead, so.
Good.
But I managed to take a prisoner. He was taken by the garrison, the city guard, as I entered the city. We should talk to him, because I think he is able to provide at least some intelligence.
I know that the true ruler of the city was kidnapped by the Sejliks some time ago. He may be the key to getting them back, or at least getting started.
Well, whether these...
Well, where did this attack take place? Is it still ongoing?
As I entered the city, yes.
Right. He kind of cracks his neck. But I suppose our time is somewhat more limited than I first thought. Orsini and I were just discussing how some of the other titles are going to be handed out in the city. I have decided upon many of members of my court already, and I know I'm expected to have appointed a court shortly. So if I would suggest holding a contest for who would become Harpy, perhaps at this Elysia, When I declare you the Master of Harpies, you can announce your intent, and whoever would wish to step forth and claim the position can say their piece, and we can decide on a popular vote. It appears time has been somewhat unkind to us. I know I must have the blood tithe ready by the 4th day, when Job and her cohort shall be leaving us. Fortunately, I have access to many servants to tithe.
I think we have more pressing matters to take care of, brother. First of all, maybe you would summon one of your servants so our sister can feed and regain her composure.
Well, I am quite okay now. I am safe, and do not worry. Although I will say I have another matter for the Baron. And she produces a letter. Just hands it over to you.
What is this?
It is regarding your. Well, it is from your opposition at the. Well, by proxy, at the barony.
Ah,
Vote of the barony. I met with her.
Yes. Lady Mashid.
Indeed. She was, well, we helped each other. A little, but we talked before. She was there as well, and, well, I saw, well, it was quite. Cappadocians apparently do have some special things with them. It was interesting, but
I understand that they are of a morbid curiosity.
indeed. Oh well. She will either explain or you could read that it's a message that asks for a meeting with you by the representative of the wildlings, or the people who live outside the city, essentially. And Madeline will just let you read it, and she'll just say, I did ask for whether or not they would want to set the location, but apparently they will meet you in the palace, so it would not immediately be suspicious. Maybe they will want to speak about what happens next.
Well, I'll be the one to decide where we meet. He seems a bit irritated that they decided the location for him.
That's not exactly what she said. Well, she said they would they will be waiting for your reply and where the meeting will take place. It is,
Okay.
after all, you're provocative, as they said. So, sorry.
It's literally what Madeleine does.
Yeah.
Says very well. I suppose I may be able to ferret out some suitable candidates. It would be best to placate them in some manner to ensure that there is no, well, that the transition is smooth. No doubt my contestant did manage to secure a great number of votes. No doubt he'll be of use to the city in some capacity.
As far as the raiding that is still happening, I think I shall ask my girls to see if anyone from that particular raiding party would decide to spend the night in my establishment. Informations tend to be leaked behind closed doors.
I'll be using, shall we say, my more forceful backing to count an excursion and retake this territory. I'll not let these brutes have it and endanger our city. As for this prisoner, we shall interview him later, Madeline. For now, you should heal up. And he snaps his fingers, and someone comes over for you to feed off of, because he's the Baron and he can do that now.
You can see it, and she just just bows and smiles very warmly to you, and she'll take 2 free blood points.
Yeah, it's some guard. He's left somewhat dazed.
And you'll notice, and she'll just say, I hope I did not. I think the city guard is well capable, but if you must see it, well.
I've been planning to take out these savages for some time. If they wish to instigate, then it is the perfect excuse to start such a conflict.
Pardon my ignorance, brother, but who are these people that you mentioned?
Referring to the Sejaluks and the Turks, right?
No, I'm referring to the wildlings.
Wildlings. Well, as Madeleine said, they live outside the city. I believe they're a coterie of several kindred. I wouldn't necessarily call them outcasts, although I believe some of them are sort of they do not all of them belong to a clan, I believe.
These baths are like bathtubs, or is these large Roman baths where there's just water, where there's
large Roman baths?
All right. Madeline will look around. She will. Well, I mean, I can get a message to them quite fast. 2 of them are at least I know is Cappadocian. I believe there are others of Gangrel or Bruja, but I cannot honestly say.
I believe Godfrey to be one of them, though he has not stated it.
As long as they intend to obey the commands of our Baron, I see no problem with having someone outside the city walls.
Well,
News travels fast, and guards on the outposts are never scarce.
And they may prove useful allies, able to pioneer where we can't. But we shall see in time, I suppose.
Brother, from your position, you don't need too many allies. You need subjects.
Madeline will go over and begin to small talk with Father Vitruvius, and she will apologize for not coming to see him sooner. She has seen him, but she will just properly greet him and say goodbye, and she will excuse it with, well, I was quite distraught, and I'm sure you understand that certain things take precedent. She'll just point at the letter and
He'll nod. It is good to see that you're quite alright.
And she just smiles and sits a bit. And she'll get up and she'll look around. I'll take a question. What kind of role is that? Go, please do go on.
Ulrich says, indeed, I have already established a power base in one of Salubri. What remains is garnering the loyalty of the other clans. I believe he loaned Nosferatu. has proved to be no problem himself. And the lone Setite should not be a problem either, for now. I know that their desires are so apparent on first viewing. I'll work on establishing an alliance with these wildlings. I may be able to ferret out some useful candidates for my court among them.
Well, I should at least, as she's starting to, she'll just walk over to like a bench or something. To say, at least I should be able to speak a little bit more plainly with our dear Cappadocian. We did just help each other out. And Madeline begins to take off her clothes. And she will, as she's removed them, she'll go over and get down in the bath and begin to bathe and wash herself. And you'll notice that she actually hasn't healed her wounds, and she seems to be cleaning the wounds. But she doesn't seem to be healing at this point.
Alright, looks at that. A somewhat puzzlement. It doesn't last too long. He's still in the conversation with Orsini. I believe our two most immediate concerns, well, considering the most recent attack, would be holding off these barbarians, establishing a court, and making sure that we can find a reliable way to play the blood tithe. I have my means to make sure that the Princedom for Holy Lands is satiated. I have them already in place. Though I may have to impart a small tax on those in the city without a domain to call their own. Should be nothing major. A single person per Cainite.
Madeline just looks up. You might seem a little bit strange, but she doesn't seem to be bothered at all. She just sits there and she washes herself. She's just, I've been thinking, what is exactly the law or measures they say, or Job said that who we give to them should be of noble birth, but depending on where you come from, noble birth can mean many things. A person can be made noble, and those born of those made noble are as much of noble birth as those who have been it for 3 or 4 generations.
Unfortunately, due to the arrogance of that fool Niafiel, they'll be taking an additional 5 individuals this month. 25.
Well, again, what if we were to take less noble people and have them made noble? They are then of noble birth. Would
Possible.
that be? I am just saying that we could have quite a few people who would become of the noble families. It does happen, and then they would be gone.
I will consider this, but given the short time frame for this current blood tithe
It's
to
not
be...
necessarily for this opportunity, it is for a longer plan.
I understand. I'll be taking, well, I'll be using my substantial resources to acquire the necessary individuals and deliver those who have dishonored the city and its laws to the princedom. This would include disgraced nobles. Still nobles. But we would not have to kidnap people off the street.
Indeed, my parent. So she gets up and heads over and puts on her clothes again.
Yeah, she dries off first. So
yeah, obviously.
I may have to institute a small tax to those without domain. Perhaps a better way to leverage those who would not be loyal. Of course, I'd have to punish those who would not pay the tax.
But it means you would know that it was indeed one of the Salubri who has dishonored the emissary.
Well, he dishonored the emissary the moment that he cheated in the grand contest. I believe that's why she's decided to take a bit more out of her coffers than normal.
Well, and that was not her reason.
I do believe him to be the one who tried to dishonor this contest in democracy. However, I have a means to ensure who and who hasn't been honest with us. There's a captain of the city guard who opened the gates for those who created such a loathsome image. I'll be discussing the matter with him to fully discern who made him open the gate. We know it was two individuals. So once we find one, we'll be able to find the other with relative ease. I'd like to give Job the pleasure of punishing him herself. After all, while we were all offended, they offended her far more than anyone else. And I think it would be fitting to make an example. The main suspects right now would be Niafiel, the Setite, Santiago, and perhaps some among the wildlings, but there is nothing to really implicate them as of yet.
Well, especially not since most of them apparently voted. At least they wanted a part of it, meaning that they cannot be that much against her.
Exactly. The coins were nailed to the note against the palace wall, so they're unlikely to have been involved, unless it was one or two among them a number who disagreed. However, Santiago wanted to go to war, I believe, so he has a motive. And I know that Niafiel, has made his intentions incredibly clear. And I know that he works at the city guard.
Honestly, did Santiago... I believe Santiago was more upset that his our little piece of the earth, with its relative quiet and no elders, was disturbed. I do not believe he... maybe he meant it. I do not know. I do not know if he actually wanted to go to war or if he just wanted to...
Well, I suppose we're going to find out one way or the other. With those immediate concerns out of the way, I'd like to find a proper means as to defend this city from further assault and discover the cause as to why all the Cainites of our city disappeared the first time round. I'll not have this happen again under my watch.
Actually, brother, I have a suggestion to make regarding the defense of the city. Domain was mentioned before in this discussion. I think that once domain is granted, you could ask or even force the ones whose domain is close to the city wall to ensure protection and scouts on a regular basis so that we are not caught off guard. At least, if we are, you have someone you can punish. Did you decide on who you want to gain domain in the city and who are the members of your court?
Funny enough, not many took. I've established many who will be acquiring domain, though not many would be on the edges of the city. That may be a stratagem definitely worth considering.
Domain is granted, not claimed. There's a reason why that happens.
I'm aware, just a turn of phrase. However, it may be worth considering declaring a rack, which may not be suitable for all Cainites of the city. It will give us the appropriate leverage to force their trust. For example, I believe Baldwin's gift or Justinopolis Mounds would be, well, no doubt, it would get quite busy if those places were declared for rack of the city. And that means some Cainites would have to go hungry if only they had a domain of their own from which to hunt.
Then divide the areas around the city walls in smaller segments so that everyone gets their share and we have a more even spread of our power.
Indeed, I believe we may have the means to rather easily and swiftly accomplish this. So I think with my influence with the military and my 2B sheriffs, power among the city guard will be enough to defend the city at least from mortal threats. This would come down to keeping unwanted Cainites out of the city. That is my main concern. Mortal armies come and go, they rise and fall. And it wouldn't be too difficult to aid them in their fall. But Cainites act with a greater degree of subtlety and have greater individual power.
This depends greatly on who you appoint as the members of your court.
I already know who will be my sheriff and his 2 hounds. The question will be who will be my seneschal and scourge. But I believe I'll be discovering that quite shortly. I have my candidates shortlisted. This elite will be the deciding factor.
And out of sheer personal curiosity, did anyone else want to challenge my claim for the title of Master of Harpies?
I have not yet announced it, so we shall see, but I highly doubt it.
What we do best, we do in the shadows. And unless another member of our clan wishes this position for themselves.
Madeline just looks at him and smiles. No, please, brother, no. You will do quite well.
But Trukio just smiles as well. I'm of a similar mind to Sister Madeline. Having already told Ulrich, basically, he doesn't want any titles at all.
Yeah. Although Ulrich will ask, well, that I believe, is there anything else anyone wishes to discuss, or shall we call this meeting adjourned?
Well, I would have a moment with you just after.
As if I receive your blessing, brother, for this new position, I might start gathering names. And if I am not too bold to ask for a small office inside the palace, preferably a dark room, in which to consult with the potential candidates. I have my own means of finding trustworthy people. And Orsini pulls out his sword again, sticks it into the ground, kneels again, bowing his head, waiting for Ulrich to bestow the title upon him.
Of course. I'd prefer to announce this, however, at the Elysia. You may have your office, however, and by all means, waste no time in gathering names. Though it should be known that the palace is my domain, and that I may hunt from it. Though feel free to establish yourself here.
I need a place that is secure and under your gaze to interview the candidates and to present them to you for your approval. Titles and important places hang more in the balance than public announcements.
True, but it is where I'll be announcing everyone else's. I'll be announcing the rest of the court and the granting of domain. I'd not want it to seem as if I am favouring my own clan by giving them a head start over another. Do not worry, you may act as if you already have this title.
I see.
But
Then
I would ask that you perhaps don't announce it quite yet. Do not worry. I'm sure we are eternal beings. 2 nights should not be too much trouble for you, I hope.
like the elders back home used to say, if you cannot defeat your enemies, at least you can outlive them. And Orsini stands, sheathes his sword, closes the trunk that has the robe, and he gently taps it with his fingers. I hope you enjoy your gift. And unless you require anything else from me, I shall take my leave.
Travel well, Orsini. I hope to see you soon.
Orsini nods. My baron, sister, clenching his teeth and looking at Patricia, brother, and he makes himself scarce.
Trukio, kind of, cracks his neck a bit, rubs his, strokes his beard. If you have need of me, my baron, you know where to find me. I'll be consulting my books.
No doubt. If you require as such, I may be able to run your domain, but I would not like to make it appear the Clan Lasombra is running the entire city.
Certainly. We must simply, hide that little truth. And he smiles.
Auric does
Have a good
smile
evening.
in turn.
Have a good evening, Baron.
Good evening, Father. Have a pleasant trip.
And he will nod. He will nod to Sister Madeline and say, "Have a good evening, sister." And he will. No, not she. Damn it, wrong menu. He will kind of clack his way out of the palace.
And this leaves Auric and Sister Lady Madeline alone, as Auric seems to return to the water. He just seems to rest against the side in the rather large room in Bathhouse. And he smiles at you from a fair distance, resting against the edge. It's the opposite side of the bath. He says, "You had something you wish to discuss with me?"
She'll join him. Again, removing her clothes and going into the water, and she'll come over to him. Just, well, my Baron, I never had the chance to. I've been busy, and I have not had the opportunity to congratulate you properly on your win. And she will just kiss him and she'll just do it. But as we talked about, I have one concern about my potential job.
Of course.
I will need certain places out of reach, out of sight, or listen range to question people, which will be needed at sometimes.
You need a quieter place of operations. Don't worry, I can provide you with this.
A basement, or a deep place, or something where people will not hear people. It is regrettable, but sometimes you must force people to see the ways.
It is quite all right. I'm sure you'll prove yourself above and beyond my expectations.
She'll smile, and she'll kiss him again. And as this disgraceful display continues, the only thing that you will see and notice before the scene comes to a close is that Madeline still hasn't healed her wounds, which you can think of what you will. But yes, as the two are there, the scene will come to a close.
Indeed it shall.